Could you please move faster? Okay. Right. Friends and colleagues, welcome back. This journey is about reconciliation, and we're going to kick off. With a video. So, friends, can we have it?
I enjoy a lot of moments, never bored. I enjoy a lot of moments, never bored. I enjoy a lot of moments, never bored. Your skin is soft, inviting to touch. Your body is in the perfect size. You look like you know how to treat a body, how to enjoy the touch, how to understand the look. I think you have the look of knowing, but more. I'm not sure why I'm not leaving from the place. I'm like a child who wants to impress, and I somehow lose the chance to impress even myself. Now you're up there, in top of that wall. I'm in the street in front of this huge wall, thinking to climb it, it's kind of impossible. I should begin telling you how I feel. What is don't like is what is don't like about you. Before Ish didn't like that you weren't here. Now Ish don't like that you are here. It was special for these colors I felt, like yellow, brown and white at last. I'm afraid to push, but I want so bad. Hope these days we lay in bed.
how you enjoy a lot of moments, never bored. How you enjoy a lot of moments, never bored. How you enjoy a lot of moments, never bored. Your skin is soft, inviting to touch. Your body is in the perfect size.
You look like you know how to treat a body, how to enjoy the touch, how to understand the look. I think you have the look of knowing, but more.
I'm not sure why I'm not leaving from the place. I'm like a child who wants to impress and
So, I'm not sure I understood everything, but it was not boring, that's for sure. So, Isabella Ritter, you are the owner of an art gallery with a name, which you will pronounce for me, and you're based in Pristina and in Brussels as well, and you're Austrian. And this is a kind of movie, a video that your art gallery specializes in. So just tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what impact it's having on the communities you're working with. Please come here.
Okay. Hello. I co-own and co-run a gallery that is called Lambda Lambda Lambda, that is based in Pristina. And since beginning of this year, we also have an outpost in Brussels. And what you've just seen was an artwork by a young artist from Kosovo called Dadan Jiglova, who was born in 1991. And he's part of the LGBT community, and his works are mostly about unrequited love, because it also deals with the impossibility of him to have certain relationships because of problems of traveling and spreading out, so to say. So he's a poet and an artist, so he deals with many topics in a very poetic and emotional way.
And do you actively seek out artists who represent a minority, who have social messages to pass? Do you actively do that kind of social art, if you like?
Yes, it's very social, but it speaks, I would say, in a metaphorical and poetic way about topics that concern us and concern certain artists privately, I would say, but also in a broader society context.
And what impact in the country itself?
Well, I mean, it's
because
difficult,
we talked about
LGBT is a topic I think that is important everywhere and brings its difficulties, of course. Maybe in the Balkan region. I mean, we know it's a quite new, I would say, movement,
right?
And this is also what I would say connects many countries within the whole region. So it's a fight together.
Combat to work on together. So Isabella, you're Austrian, and you made the move to Pristina. So we're talking about another way of working. What made you embark on this journey?
Because of the art.
Because
of the good art. Yes.
Good art.
Yes. Yes.
Good art.
Well, for us, it was. I have a partner who is also Austrian, Katharina Schendl, and together we discovered that there were amazing artists in Kosovo, but it was not very known on the outside. So we thought, well, why don't we do something in Pristina? It's a fantastic, vibrant, young city with amazing output of art that is unconventional, because there are certain questions that are debated in Kosovo that are not debated in other places. And we thought, yeah, why don't we give visibility to this? And also what I have to mention, we are a private gallery, so we are not an NGO, so we operate as a real gallery. We sell the works of the artists, so the artists also can live from what they do.
Okay,
Yes.
so, and it's going well, is it?
Yeah, I cannot complain.
Okay,
Yes.
so let's give Isabella a hand. Thank you very much, Isabella. Thank you. Thank you indeed. And thank you for bringing the art to us as well. As I said, definitely something to ponder and reflect over. And the background, of course, the backstory brings it to life even more. Thank you very much indeed. So as I said, friends and colleagues, this is a conversation we're going to have about reconciliation. Now, just recently, this year, let's say, we had the Prespa Agreement, groundbreaking, very important example of how two countries can come together, forgetting historical differences, name disputes, and come to an understanding at the state level. But as I said when I started off this conversation this morning, governance in the 21st century is not just about what states do, what governments do, what national leaders do, but also about what civil society does and what peace initiatives people can actually take together to bring themselves together, whether it's through art and culture, music, or academic think tank work, women's networks, etc. So this conversation is going to be about reconciliation. May I ask the panelists, please, to join me here well, it's not a podium, but please to come forward. So Zoran Zalewski, former Minister of Defense of North Macedonia, and very interestingly, chief negotiator in the Macedonian name issue, name change issue with Greece. I'm not sure whether Tanya is here yet. Not yet, but let's move on. Svetlana Kovac, Executive Director at the Center for Democracy and Reconciliation in Southeast Europe. Thank you very much for joining us. Svetlana. Velma Saric, Founder and President of the Post-Conflict Research Center. Thank you very much for joining us as well. And as I said, there we are, Tanya as well. Tanya needs no introduction because she is a member of the European Parliament and has worked for a very long time on the permanent delegation of the EU-Serbia stabilization discussion. So, Zoran, you really are, if I may say so, a wise man, and somebody who's been working on, well, I'm sure he's a wise man, right? Let's just assume he is. I've been meeting him now since yesterday, and I'm convinced he is. So you've been a North Macedonian diplomat for many years, taken part in many negotiations, discussion, and then, as I said, you were quite sort of involved in the latest Prespa Agreement. Just give us a sense from you about, is reconciliation really on the cards at the civil society level as well as the state level? We know that there are many disputes, unsettled. Let's get your point of view.
Reconciliation is extremely important for lasting peace. And when we speak about reconciliation, we have to speak about reconciliation on all levels. When we speak about reconciliation, it's a reconciliation between family members, reconciliation between friends, reconciliation between different ethnic, religious groups, and reconciliation between states. In order to achieve lasting peace, reconciliation must have a bottom-up and up-bottom approach. Reconciliation between states, between countries, are very important. That's a reconciliation which is brought by the leaders, and the followers are seeing what the leaders are doing. So it's very important from that point what type of message the leadership of the society. When I say leadership, it does not mean just political leadership, just prime ministers, ministers, or whatever, members of the parliament, but also leadership of different parts of the society, religious leaders, NGO sectors, and so on and so forth. This process requires a lot of efforts and is slow and it takes time. But at the same time, it requires to be employed, to be used socio-philosophical issues, political issues, economic issues. Therefore, we need to engage in that process. We need to have all society, everyone in the society, involved as much as possible. Because reconciliation won't be possible if it just is led by one group or is part of that group. In our region, definitely we need to continue with reconciliation. Actually, when you speak about Europe, Europe is peace project, and one of the major achievements is reconciliation of two enemies during the First and Second World War. In our region, we have moved substantially forward in that respect. Although I can admit that we are not there, still a lot of work needs to be done. And that work needs to be done first among ourselves, among all parts of our society, but at the same time also with help with our friends from European Union. Now I'm with white hair, wise diplomat, former diplomat. I was young diplomat in the early 90s when there was a conference of former Yugoslavia. This was a conference about dissolution of our country. And there were 6 working groups, and one of those groups was economic working group. We could not get any meeting over there. Once the conflict was over, in 2000, just to give you an idea how much we can move forward, in 2000 in Davos, Carl Bildt came with the idea about creating free trade area in our region. All the presidents who were there, including presidents from Albania, not just from former Yugoslavia, immediately they rejected. They didn't want to listen about it. Then, in 2003, just before we discussed this morning about Thessaloniki Summit, in one period there were some rumors that it might not be Western Balkan Summit during the Greek presidency. For first time, the leaders of the region got together in Ohrid to discuss mutual cooperation and how we can jointly lobby to get European perspective. It shows you how European perspective, how much it can help you. But also it's important to have I'm very glad and very carefully I read the recommendations from the youth. We have young people, and I took my shirt and wearing this shirt
I saw
here.
that. What does it say?
And I'm going to say, it's Renew Our Minds, 1999-2019. It was a group of people who came together in 99, and they said, what we can do for young people. But before I go that, I will just give you another short story, personal story, just to understand what was going on in the region. I left the government in 2004, and in 2006, I was, in that time, WTO expert. Bosnia was preparing to start negotiations with WTO, and they invited me in Sarajevo to speak to the conference. My younger son, who is coincidentally born in 1992, when those atrocities were there, wanted to come with me in Sarajevo, and we went for lunch with a good friend of mine, Bogic Bogicevic, who was the last member of the presidency of former Yugoslavia from Bosnia. And we had a lunch in one restaurant, golf course, but we were looking over the cemetery of Muslims who were killed during the conflict. And I asked Bogic, does the kids from Pale come to Sarajevo? Or kids from Sarajevo are going to Pale? And he said, no, very rare. Then I look at my son, who was born at that time, say, kids old 14 years haven't got together. How we can build joint state if the young generations are not getting, knowing each other, not getting together? So I'm now going back to this initiative. In 1999, they brought about 60 young people from Bosnia, Bosniaks, Serbs, Croats, also from Serbia, from Croatia, and Macedonia, and they were together for 3 weeks. And I was listening to testimonies this summer in Ohrid, how when they brought them together, they thought, oh, okay, he's Serb or Bosniak or Croat, whatever. how I can get with him together. Oh, they have done this and that to my people. But after being 3 weeks together, a lot of things have changed. They were, and some of them came in Ohrid, and they came with their wives and with their children. And what I have seen, they left their small children to other friends and they went partying outside. So it shows that initiatives of civil society, bringing young people together, are extremely important for a future of our region and for reconciliation. I will stop here because maybe I took some more time.
No, but thank you for those insights. And it's always important to get some history into the conversation as well. And this is all about history, actually. Svetlana, so you are a former journalist. So welcome to the club. Me too. And you're Montenegrin.
And I'm also former executive director of the Center for Democracy and Reconciliation, because that is the center, there is no more. I'll talk a bit later about that.
No, but I'm giving you the floor now. No, well, I mean, this is fascinating. The center does not exist. Okay.
Yeah.
So you heard Zoran, and you heard this morning about the problems of reconciliation. One of the cardinal objectives of the EU is actually to get regional cooperation, reconciliation going. Let's have your insights from your experience.
First of all, I want to thank you very much for inviting me, because I'm happy to be here with you, but I'm not happy at all to talk about reconciliation over and over again, 20 and 20 more years after the wars of the 90s in the former Yugoslavia. And not only that, but I'm afraid that we have managed somehow to downgrade the meaning of the word reconciliation. So actually, reconciliation hasn't taken place yet in the Western Balkan countries, in the former Yugoslavia, and we managed to downgrade the meaning of that word. And I think this is due to overuse and misuse of the word, and then people somehow have impression or understand that reconciliation is an obligation. And of course, reconciliation must not and cannot be based on obligation, but rather on goodwill. And exactly that goodwill is something that is missing, something that I personally do not recognize and do not see in any of the countries of the Western Balkans. And to be more precise, maybe I don't see that the government actually are honest when talking about the reconciliation. Even though they often proclaim themselves as a leader of the region. How many times we heard President of Serbia, Prime Minister of Montenegro, even people from Kosovo, we are leader of the region, but actually they do nothing on this reconciliation. There are, of course, many reasons and many facts which can explain and help us to understand why is that like that, why the situation is like that. But
what do you think is the main reason? What do you think is the main reason?
The main reason is that there is, first of all, there is no goodwill. There is no that honest approach. There is no concrete plan. There is no strategy. So either coming from the local governments or the governments of these countries of the Western Balkan countries, or from European Union. I also think that European Union take it, how to say, first of all, there is no enough money invested in reconciliation. I know we always complain and ask for more and more money, but really there is not enough money. Then the grants are invested in the projects, which are most of them meaningful and very good. But I have an impression that people from European Commission or these organization, project managers, etc., who are supposed to follow up on these projects, they actually do not do that. Mostly the civil society organizations and NGOs, they write reports in order to make happy funders, and then people, they read the reports and they're happy because they read I don't know how many workshops, how many teachers, how
It's a
many
little
this
business,
and
is
that,
it?
yeah, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the reason actually why this happened with the Center for Democracy and Reconciliation in Southeast Europe. You said that you are surprised because the center, I guess so, that many of you are familiar with, with the flagship program of the center, which is Joint History Project. So this is the common history book for 13 countries of Southeast Europe. So we have managed to compile a book that everybody agreed upon, and that was not that easy. That was not easy when talking about anything, and especially about history. So hundreds of people, hundreds of historians, of staff members, of board members, of the executive directors were working on that more than 20 years, because that was not easy at all to manage to compile these books, first of all, and then to bring them into school. And just the step before the implementation, Center was forced to cease these activities and to shut down. That is due to the eligibility criteria for funding, which has been changed for the past 4 or 5 years.
For the EU.
For the EU, yeah, and that was our main source. And unfortunately, other institutions and organizations and foundation has been following the same rule, which is if you are not based in one of the Southeast or Western Balkan countries, you cannot apply for the funds.
Right.
I can understand very noble idea that money has to end up in the Western Balkans, but everything we did, and especially such a project, we did in, for, and with the Western Balkans. We have only been based in Thessaloniki, which give us a huge advantage to be able to compile that book. And that is something that I cannot understand, and that European Union needs to take care of. So we were not asking, and we were talking, I personally, with many people from European Commission, including Commissioner Hahn, who has supported us, but they do not see forest from tree.
Yes.
We are not asking to change the rule, to not obey the rule, but
flexibility.
Because we managed to compile these books and to produce such a project which is really meaningful and which can contribute to reconciliation. Right. Because if you don't have a good education, and probably we'll talk about that later on, you cannot rely on a reconciliation at all.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being so honest about it. I have to say, EU eligibility criteria, as anyone who works with the EU, are infamously difficult and stringent and sometimes rather narrow. And so thank you for that. And let's see what happens with the next EU executive. Velma, do you, as founder and president of the Post-Conflict Research Center, you're based in Sarajevo, right? Do you share the rather, let's say, downbeat assessment of what's happening in the region in terms of just ticking the box on what reconciliation means, or do you have a slightly more optimistic outlook?
Well, first of all, I would like to also thank you for inviting me to speak about reconciliation. As a post-conflict research center, we are quite careful by using the term reconciliation, and we rather go for peace-building processes or sustainable peace. Unfortunately, I'm not bringing any positive news from the country related to the reconciliation, mostly focusing on the young people and the education, and where we are with the fact that we still didn't establish the facts about recent conflict. We do have 3 different narratives conflicting constantly. We have war criminals being celebrated as heroes. We have a constant denial of recent past, including genocide. And we have a concerning trend of quite depressive young generations, people who just want to leave the country. And we are also a country with a pure phenomenon of segregation, 56 schools under 2 schools under one roof. You know, where kids, they go physically in the same building, but they are completely separated with curriculum. You know the story. So according to OSCE, there is still 56 of these schools. Yeah, so these are just small, things to mention. as a civil society organization, I'm always trying to find something positive. So I'm always trying to kind of like think about the possible solutions, because we are, unfortunately, in civil society are carrying the whole burden of what government in our region and my country don't do. So what I would also mention, because we just mentioned the role of civil society and what we can do more, and especially in a case of my country, I think we do need a lot of help in building the curriculums which will be multi-history perspective curriculums based on research and research analysis done by independent researchers and independent historians.
Is that possible?
I think it's possible. I think there is a lot of things which we can adopt or take from the Council of Europe recommendations on multi-history teaching and learning and researching. I think civil societies, and I'm going to talk to my colleagues, I think we should not be waiting and identify constantly how we need political will and how we need to wait on politicians. I think we should create a strong networks. We should multiply our efforts, and maybe if we create a strong networks and we share research and we share information, we will be able to be listened as a one voice, and maybe politicians will take us seriously. A small example I will mention here is our work we do with the United Nations Office of Special Advisor for Genocide Prevention and Responsibility to Protect. In past 9 years, we have been working on educating civil society organizations in the mechanisms of genocide prevention and mass atrocities. 2 years ago, we established a first coalition, which consists 30 leading civil society organizations. And now we are trying to work in the field of preventing hate speech. I think if we create a strong networks, if we do work together, if we double our efforts, and we promote good practices, then there is more chances that we can do something. One other case or example which I would mention that it would be extremely important would be a joint commemoration of religious leaders and civil society organizations and ordinary people. These commemorations should be promoted more. They should get special a place into the media focus. On another hand, my concern are ordinary people too, because I don't want to give up. We have a problem with the young people, but I don't want to give up from ordinary people. I think with an ordinary people, especially in the case of Bosnia, because we are divided, on 10 cantons, we have 186 ministries, but we don't have a state ministry for education, 186 ministries, but no state ministry for education. I think in this case, we should move toward the level of cantons and municipalities, and we should try to include municipalities more to promote reconciliation, especially because municipalities are carrying this important local level. I think also we need to seek partnerships with parliaments, and I will stop soon, I talk a lot. Yeah. But we need to seek the partnerships with the parliaments, we civil society organizations, we need to push them more, and we need to organize public debates and follow up with the progress and problems and issues we have, so, yeah.
No, thank you, Velma, thank you very much. Tanya, I kept you for last because I wanted you to comment on what you see. You've been working on it, also a former journalist, former colleague, I could say so, also working on these issues for many, many years in the European Parliament. After all these years, is there a sense of dismay, perhaps disappointment that things haven't moved on? I was really struck by what Svetlana said about they call themselves the region's leaders, but they are really just talking in nationalistic terms. Yeah. Your comment.
Thank you, Shada, and thank you for all these remarks. I was writing some notes, and it's a bit difficult where to grab. I could really talk in length how I see the situation, but by definition, as a politician, I have to stay optimistic, which is difficult. First, when I think of reconciliation in the region, I would always believe that the regional cooperation and the European integration process are the best way to promote reconciliation and to overcome hatred and divisions that exist in the region. But then we come to cooperation, and the cooperation is a big challenge in the region, and it might take decades before we'll reach reconciliation. I wouldn't say we haven't managed anything so far. But I could agree with those that today have the pessimistic view that things are deteriorating. When you say the downgrade of reconciliation or the downgrade of lack of goodwill in the region, I'm lately dealing a lot with Serbia, but also with the other countries. I see challenges in political elites. I see challenges of not having sincere wish to continue the path of European integration for different reasons, and you cannot put one common denominator. But I see there is a lot on the paper also, but a big lack of implementation of things that have been maybe agreed. A lot of big words and promises on European integration path, reforms, but in reality, you quickly see it's all but that, or a lot but that.
I'm going to interrupt you for
Yes.
one reason. So, because what Melinda Bregu from RCC said in the first panel was very much our regional cooperation, our efforts are conditional on having a firm entry access plan for the EU to become members of the EU. So what do you say about that,
In very concrete
Tanya?
terms, yes. We see it in every country report. We see it in the Commission new enlargement strategy paper, certainly. It is the way forward. The reconciliation, good neighborly relations.
But what if it's stalled? The process now
The
seems
problem,
to be...
now the challenges are huge on both sides, also on the European Union side. If we can go into discussion, I believe you already discussed today on Macron paper, or where are we in the enlargement process. North Macedonia is a good example that did a reconciliation on a national level, but it failed because of someone else. And this is a huge mistake. Now, when I'm watching what is happening on the side of European Union, I also see, if you would go today and ask in EU capitals, the governments or citizens, how many would still support enlargement today? We all know that there wouldn't be a great support. So this is a challenge on our side, and we are thinking how to make this enlargement process more credible, bring new dynamics into it,